Anna, if you'd call roll, please.
Silver,
Yes. Here.
Klein,
Here.
Bilski,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Harry,
Here.
Huber.
I'm here. I will make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 6, 2020 special council meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Lisa. Does anybody have any comments, corrections, changes, et cetera, et cetera? All right. Not, if you would call roll, please.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein, Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Comet,
Jane.
Vincent,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Huber.
Yeah. Moving on to discussion of the bills to be paid in the month of May in the amount of $688,710.31 and additional April expenses in the amount of $77,245.53. Does anybody have any questions on the bills? No?
I did have one quick question, just to make sure that I saw this number before last month, the $351,000 for the Pinecrest tax thing. I just want to make sure we're not paying it twice and that I saw it on the financial reports, not this report.
Oh,
It was on the finance reports. I had mentioned it, that
Okay.
we were paying it in May.
That's what I need confirmed.
I
Okay.
couldn't vouch like she could.
Can you refresh my memory on which ones need to be approved by council, what the dollar threshold is?
Steve Byron. Oh, anything over 15,000.
Okay, so if there's something on here that is above 15, it's safe to
You
assume-
authorized it, or it was a contract. It had some other authorization to make it
Yeah.
legitimate expense.
Thank you.
Did I say that good, Steve? Am I your assistant law director now?
Absolutely, although you can't share in the legal fees because you're not licensed.
But I can.
It's a trade union.
And you don't want them to put that big inflatable rat in front of Village Hall.
Does anybody else have any comments on the bills? Okay. Then moving on to audience comments relating to agenda items only. Is there an audience at all? And if so, is there an audience who wants to speak? And I'm guessing not. So moving on to old business, ordinance 2020-8, an ordinance authorizing the issuance of notes in the amount of not to exceed $5,500,000 in anticipation of the issuance of bonds and in anticipation of the levy and collection of special assessments to acquire, construct, install, equip, and improve a recreational trail within Orange Village together with all necessary and proper appurtenances. Retiring notes previously issued for such purpose, authorizing and approving related matters, and declaring emergency this is on for second reading. Does anybody have?
Matt Stu will join us next time.
Okay. Obviously, there's been no updates since last time, nothing new. So does anybody have any comments, suggestions, questions? Nope. All right. Moving on to new business, ordinance 2020-9, ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the County of Cuyahoga, Ohio, on behalf of the Department of Public Works for preventative maintenance services and declaring emergency. This is on for first reading. Mayor, did you want to speak on this, or?
I think I'll let Bob Zugan, because is this for the reimbursement, Zugan, or is this for the cleaning of the sewers?
No, this is policy by Cuyahoga County. This has to do with the 50/50. Well, let me stand corrected, for the preventative maintenance, where they reimbursed us for maintenance materials that we put in for. So for example, 2019, we got reimbursed $56,000. For 2020, we put in for $96,300 and we were awarded $56,200. So it's a policy that requires us, if we want our money back, we got to pass it.
If we want to be reimbursed, we pass it. It's pretty simple.
Steve, that's correct. Steve?
What do you want Steve to say?
I think I hit it right on the head, right, Steve? Shake your head, yes.
He wants to be assistant law director now too.
He's
It's
in
that
outer
darn,
space.
it's that darn unmute thing. I'm having trouble out here with the lack of gravity.
Can't you sit at home quietly and not make any noise?
No.
Then mute yourself.
No, the ordinance is necessary to get the money from the county.
I would recommend suspending. We have how much on the line till we pass this, Bob?
Well, I don't think we got, Dana, I don't recall seeing the 2019 reimbursement. What I'm not clear is if this covers a 2019 reimbursement. I certainly know that it does reimbursements moving forward.
They said we're going to have to pass this every year going forward.
I thought, Steve, didn't they do this where they wanted to do it for multiple years or no?
I think it's an annual.
I have not done this before.
They started
That's
it.
why-
They sent a letter with it. They said they were just starting it. If I'm thinking of the right thing, they just started it, and this will be annually. They will have to have us do this.
Okay.
But if you want the 60 grand, maybe suspend. I don't know if the timing matters. Bob, do you? Is this holding up our reimbursement?
No, well, we haven't done any of the 2020 stuff yet anyway, so.
Okay, if you want to have
So-
something on the agenda.
Well, I mean, does anybody have any, there's no reason not to pass this tonight.
I will move for suspension.
Thank you. I'll second it. Anna, if you'd call roll on suspension, please.
You're muted.
You're muted, Anna.
Sorry. Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Huber.
Yes. And I'll make a motion to pass ordinance 2020-9 for a second.
I'll second that.
Everybody. I think Stacy was the loudest and first. So, any other discussion on this? All right, if you would call roll, please.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Huber.
Yes. All right, being efficient. I like it. Moving on to resolution 2020-2, resolution adopting the 2021 Orange Village alternative tax budget. I'll make a motion to pass the resolution. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Just as easy as the last one. If you want $700,000, we got to pass it.
Anybody have questions on this?
I just have one question, and I know the notation was that the village is estimated to receive about 36,000. Might that change this year because of everything going on with COVID, or is that a number that's standard each year?
No, that was just the estimate. That's how much we are anticipated to collect in 2020 when we put together the budget. So I didn't go back
2021.
and
2021.
the memo talks about that we had budgeted 36,000 for 2020. So that was the estimate per the budget. It's not the actual.
We know
Do you
we're going to
think
get more now from the COVID. We know we're going to get more now from the CARES Act, but we have to put it in a separate fund, so I don't know if it affects that. And we'll amend the appropriations before the end of the year.
Thank you.
We'll explain more.
Primarily, we're going to get the local government funds, and you have to prepare this document to get those local government funds. So regardless of whatever that dollar amount is of the local government, that's our share. Whatever our share is, we won't be able to get it unless we do this document.
Dana, is it like the real estate taxes that the 36,000 is, you don't get more if you really should unless you ask for more?
The tax budget only allows you to participate in the local government sharing program. So that's their hook to get you to pass the tax budget. So the primary purpose of the tax budget is just to collect our and receive property tax revenue. So that's the main purpose of the document. There's just the two other ancillary, more minor points is the local government funds contribution and creating the certificate of estimated resources, which is the beginning of the 2021 budget.
And this is about as housekeeping as you get, Stacy,
Yeah.
because the numbers really mean nothing.
This is the beginning of the tennis match between the village and the county when it comes to receiving your tax money. You pass this, then the county says what the taxes are that the village is authorized to levy. Then you say, yes, we're going to levy those taxes. Then the county says, here is your estimate of resources. And then you say, okay, we're appropriating X amount. So there's about 4 or 5 steps there where you take an action, the county takes an action, you take an action. It all starts with this, and if you don't do it, you don't get the local government.
Thank you.
The Finance Committee looked at this and recommended it to council to pass it.
Are there any other comments or questions on it? All right, if you, Donna, if you call roll, please.
Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Hammett,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Terry,
Yes.
Huber.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to audience comments. Anyone? Nope. To reports, start with the mayor again, just for updates and anything else.
Yeah, maybe I can cover things that you're thinking of anyways. I'm going to make a statement first. I do have a lot of like little announcements and reports, but given the state of the world, I feel like I could possibly head off a lot of questions that people may have. And actually, I'm not kidding when I say I have gotten some phone calls. I mean, other people always got phone calls and I never did, but I have gotten phone calls asking certain things about what we do in Orange and how we do it. And we are all, so bear with me because it's a lot to say. We are all aware of what's going on in the world outside Orange Village. I am well aware of what's going on. I am maybe too aware. There are people on the Zoom call, some I can't see, who think I should be less aware of what's going on in the world. But what we are living through as a nation is horrifying. There are certainly huge social conflicts that need to be discussed and resolved, not overlooked or kicked down the road again. Are there bad cops out there? Yes, of course there are. There are also bad mayors, bad CPAs, and even bad lawyers. But there are no bad cops in Orange Village. Now, what we have to deal with as a society is certainly going to be very challenging. But our responsibility as mayor and council of Orange Village is to be concerned about the challenges of Orange Village. And for the sake of those who are maybe new, I realize there's things I take for granted and others don't, or maybe there's an audience member, a resident who's going to listen to this. I am going to describe some of the things that make me so confident in saying we don't have, the only systemic problem we have in our safety forces is a success problem. And I'm going to tell you why I say that. It's baked into the system. But first, I'd like to read the public statement that I wrote to the residents. We are living through unprecedented and troubling times. Like many of you, I am concerned about the health, safety, and well-being of our country. When we eventually contain the coronavirus threat and return to lawful protests and meaningful discussions aimed at making this a more fair and just society, our world may feel very different from the world we've become used to. While I can only guess at ways we will change as a country, I know for certain ways that Orange Village will not change. Orange Village will continue to celebrate and honor the diversity and inclusiveness of our community. We will continue the commitment our employees have to each and every one of our residents. Our safety forces have spent decades building relationships amongst our residents and community partners. We can all be very proud of the strength and constancy of those relationships and the mutual trust that exists as a result. As we work our way through the extremely challenging time as a country, I want to assure our residents that Orange Village will remain safe and secure. Our residents remain the priority of this mayor, our dedicated staff, and council. Today, I wrote a letter to the department heads mostly, and I wrote to them, thank you to each and every one of you and the members of your staffs for continuing to operate Orange Village at the high standards our community is accustomed to and expects from us. It's been incredible how you've managed to carry on right through a pandemic, all the strange new protocols, masks, protests, riots, and other extraordinary circumstances. And I wanted them to know that on behalf of Orange Village residents, that we certainly extend our heartfelt appreciation. It was a little humbling for me, though, because on a personal note, I became aware that they don't really need my physical presence there to keep Orange Village the way Orange Village has been for a long time. And these things don't happen overnight. Okay. I don't mean to leave you out, Zugan. Certainly everything I'm going to say applies to you, but I am really addressing safety forces because that is the issue of the day. The systemic success that I referenced above for Orange Village starts with our ability to select the best qualified safety officer candidates. That's a freedom not enjoyed by cities whose choices are more restricted than ours. The work culture and ethics promoted by Orange Village leadership starts immediately. All employees get handbooks and ethics statements that set out very clear expectations. Probationary periods are to ensure and to hope and make sure that they make the cut, that they can figure out how to do the Orange Village way. The concerns we're witnessing on TV and in the paper comes from distrust and broken relationships between government officials, law enforcement, and communities. That essential element is not something a community can put into place overnight. If they don't have it, it's a long haul. In Orange Village, our safety forces have built that trust over a long and positive relationship with the residents and all the people that travel through Orange Village for whatever reason. I have to tell you, in all honesty, I'm in my 25th year as mayor. Chief Castor is in his 19th or 20th year as chief. Wilson's been around for that long too, but not as chief as long. I get phone calls of thanks. I don't get calls of complaints. I don't get people angry. I get people that, even today, I think one of our officers got a letter today. We are considered a very, we got a good reputation. Of course, we have day-to-day issues. Of course, we're no different than the rest of the world, but we don't have problems like that. We have first-rate, second to none safety forces. I won't say the best. I told them today that they were the best municipal team ever. I don't believe in best. I don't believe in superlatives. We're great. So are others. But, okay? We're second to none. Sometimes officers from other communities come up to me and ask me for a job. I mean, I hear this from every walk of life, including judges. Our judges have told me that our officers are the most professional and always well prepared. I'm proud. I get to go around getting all these commendations for the work they've put in for all these years. From the relationships with the Jewish Community Federation, the temples, the day schools, Pinecrest, the traveling public, our residents, our officers are out, they are visible. Okay, that's the point of that. I always get, okay, 24 and a half years. I'm gonna exaggerate here. Between the fire department and the police department, if we eliminate one particular person, I bet that, I'm gonna exaggerate, 10 complaints that required a call to one of the chiefs or a look at a tape. And 90% of those incidences, you know, the officer stopped me because I was black, or the officer did this. The video is clear. Our officers behave professionally and admirably. They get food sent in all the time from the community. Okay, I'm saying all of this, just my favorite story that represents the high regard and the relationship that has been established is when I talk about Mike Roberts doing a fundraiser and the value put on him, $3,500. I believe that's the amount, but I just know it was exponentially higher than anything I raised. But in the last few days, I have honestly, legitimately gotten phone calls from some residents, and I think it's a legitimate questions for them to ask, and I think our residents deserve to know a little deeper that aside from the handbook and the ethics, our employees continue with growth and skill building. It's continual and ongoing. And I mean above and beyond basic bare bone requirements. Our firefighters, by the way, of which many of our police officers join them, they meet maybe 30 times a year for training sessions on all elements of service to the community, mostly in the emergency and fire, but there's a lot of cross-reference with that with the police. Our police have had training in diversity sensitivity, de-escalation, so many different kinds of mental illnesses. They have specialized training. Our officers over the years have had the benefit of state-of-the-art quality equipment. They've been the envy of other forces, but more importantly, they've been able to establish skills and specialties, and that's a plus to have the equipment they need. And then they can spend time on doing their jobs better than worrying about whether they're going to have an up-to-date rifle. We have in our department, unlike any other small department, we have 3 FBI trained police officers. Both departments review their standard operating procedures. I don't know how often, but I know within the last 2 years, they've all been updated and brought into compliance. I can't see if Kassir is shaking his head yes, but I can see Wilson acknowledging that that's the right time frame. Range practice, everything's ongoing. Again, I just say the work ethic and the work culture in our safety forces is the result of a lot of good things been done over a long time, and because of the good leadership that they have in their departments as well. Our officers have a lot of opportunity to interact with our residents and establish relationships. For example, last Saturday, and again this Saturday, the fire department is having a virtual tour. I'm going to be away with my grandkids. I might sign on and, you know, watch it. They've participated in safety town, juvenile diversion programs, citizen academies. With our work with the HAZMAT, the Valley Enforcement Group, the Chagrin Valley Dispatch Center, all the communities in the Chagrin Valley, they are highly trained and highly professional. And through those organizations and through the years and relationships built up and sometimes married into, we are training for things that might happen, not looking back at what we did or could have done. We are getting plans in place, and this last week put our officers to the test. We had serious business in Orange Village. Our officers were terrific. Maybe Castro will regale you sometime with the story of Sunday night non-riots at Pinecrest. So that ability to be freed up from, you know, all those little problems allows our officers to be even better. Those are some of the infrastructure we have in place in our safety forces that I consider giving us systemic success. We're not inbreeding any bad habits or traits. We can all be very proud. Let me just quickly just see if I'm sorry for this. We do continually interact with other departments through those associations. We look at their operations, we learn from each other. Best practices, we will always be open to an improvement, a suggestion. But that's being done. In closing, more or less, we have an acronym that the police department puts on their website, and it expresses the values of the safety forces in Orange Village. The overall word is pride, P-R-I-D-E, professionalism, respect, integrity, dedication, excellence. I believe I'm qualified to say, and I am saying for the record, our safety forces are second to none. Okay. Anybody want to say anything about that? Or should I go on to the mundane?
Let's move on to the mundane, unless anybody
Okay.
Mayor, this is Chris. I do want to, without getting into a ton of the detail, say that the service department was very important on Sunday night, that we got a service department member out there who knew how to operate a piece of equipment that was left by DeGeronimo's to be able to move dumpsters and a lot of equipment to block off roadways that we needed blocked off that night. And he was integral in making our plan work. So the service department has a lot to do with these things. And I believe at some point in time we've decided they're at least partially safety forces. And I can tell you that it was huge Sunday night.
You shamed me, Chris. You're absolutely right. Bob Zugan can be considered every bit under all of those things I said. And I don't mean just the service department. The service department, most of them are trained for the fire department as well. Our three departments, it's just amazing. And these guys have worked with each other for 30 years. They can probably just breathe and the other one will know what they need to do. We're in a good place. I'm not saying we're perfect. I mean, I would, but Bob, you're muted if you're trying to say something. What did he just blow me a kiss? What was that?
I don't know, we should keep it.
He said perfect.
It was ugly.
I said perfect.
Yeah, thank you. I worried about it because I didn't have much time. Okay. Next next Friday, I'm sorry, June 8th, Village Hall is taking an extra day off because we have a transformer being replaced. Anna, you signaling me? We have a transformer being replaced at the building and there'll be no electricity.
You say Friday, I think it's Monday. Thought you
I'm
said.
sorry, June 8th, Monday, June 8th. Thank you. Yeah, Monday. That's just this next Monday coming up.
Is that insurance or is that something that's out of pocket?
Bob?
No, it's done by First Energy, no cost to the village. A transformer's going bad, so it's got to get replaced.
Thanks.
We have determined that from now till at least June 15th, then we'll revisit it after the health and welfare of the residents and staff. The park is closed except for the pickleball and the dog park and the trails. We have decided, unfortunately, to cancel the party in the park, which actually just ironically, one of the features of that event was going to be, I don't know if the police and fire and service departments have put their teams together, but there was going to be a inter-community competitive activity that day that you're off the hook, guys. Okay. The community-wide garage sale is being canceled. The party in the park, that's as far as we've gotten. We'll decide in June for the next step. June 15th, branch chipping will go on. And on June 19th is shredding. And those, at this moment, those are all going on as planned. specific instructions to be COVID friendly, but that's in your e-news, which I know every council person gets. And it's on the website, and you can get those details unless you want me to read about box limits now. Okay, the trails, they finished Lander, they're now on Harvard. I got a call today from somebody who was so upset, mad, because she thought miles was more important. But I assured her that was coming up soon and that Brainerd was not going to take that long. Again, don't get caught up in any of those COVID-19 scams. Don't give out any information. We still have the 3-ply masks available for residents and you folk, anybody wants. If you are not receiving our electronic newsletters or phone calls, why not? The graduates were recognized this weekend with a caravan celebration. It was a great, how many people saw it? I know Stacy, it was great. It was so much fun. I don't even.
It was great.
Huh?
It was great.
Yeah. It was so great, but it was so great that I worried that so many people have said to me, we should do this every year. Let's do this every year. It wouldn't be so great if we did it every year. It was just
Exactly.
so fun.
You're gonna have to fight Caden on that because he wants it in 2 years. He loved it so much.
Well, they used to do an event at the schools to prepare, or still do, and I just don't know, to get the kids for prom, and the fires and the ambulance people would come and enact a scene. So we can go to an every couple years, every 3 years. Some would say every 10 years. Okay. Okay, and again, I mentioned in my other comments that Orange Village Fire Department is having a Zoom virtual tour this Saturday. Information on our website and on the Facebook page, I believe. And there is, I'm sure next week we will have the concrete program. It's more than we said because we added some necessary parts that we suggest we do. And we have some surplus equipment to declare surplus next week. And I'm sure we'll think of another thing or two, but that's all I know about now. You want to pass the legislation next week for the notes? We have to make sure that Matt can be there. Okay, Dana? It's surreal out there, but we're doing good. I think I'm done.
All right. Thanks, Mayor.
Thanks for listening.
Moving on to committee reports and comments by council members. Ms. Perry?
Thank you. I just going to keep it short and sweet. I want to thank everybody who's working in Orange Village for all of their competence and their hard work. And I hope that everybody stays safe and healthy in every way. So that's all.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Silver?
Yes, thank you. First off, welcome back to Pradeep. Nice to see you and nice to have a full council back. One thing I mentioned at the last meeting was a possibility of an ordinance requiring restaurants to have hand sanitizer near the entryway. And the more I thought about it, if it's something we'd like to move forward with, I think it should be extended to all businesses that do have customers. I know as things have started to open up more, I know as I've been getting out a little bit more into different stores and other types of businesses, I do find it nice when there is a nice big bottle of hand sanitizer right near the door to use when you're coming and
You
Oh.
know what those nice big bottle of sanitizers cost? Anna sent me a thing that was $50, right, Anna? It's black market. Oh, and Brent, we did put a sanitizer station out by the playground.
Okay, good. But I just wanted to kind of get everyone's thought on whether or not they think it would be a good idea to move forward with an ordinance of some sort requiring businesses to have hand sanitizer when you come into the store or to the business. I think it would send a nice message that, we're trying to do something to help mitigate this, help, be part of the solution. In some little way. I don't think it's a huge burden on businesses to have hand sanitizer. I think it's something that most of them probably do or will have there anyway. So I probably won't be much of a change of business, much of a change for most of these businesses anyways. And for the ones that don't, I think it's a good idea and it's not that much of a burden. We certainly wouldn't be requiring customers to use it when they come in or leave a store. But I just kind of wanted to get council's thought on that. I think it is worth pursuing further if I do have enough support on something like this to start drafting something to present at a future meeting.
What penalty would you want? What penalty would you want to impose for a violation of this code?
I don't know. I would kind of maybe lean on you to see what is, appropriate for something similar to this. I feel you would certainly know more than I would on previous ordinances what penalties would be.
The lowest violation is a minor misdemeanor, which the maximum penalty is a fine of $150. Our business regulations usually involve actual activities, fortune tellers, peddlers, private snow plowing, refuse collection, and so forth. I'm not sure. I mean, this is really a health safety ordinance, but it's going to be a business regulation. But
Steve, do you know if the governor's orders on business opening includes that requirement or not?
they do not. They do
It
not.
does not? Or you don't know?
They do not. No, they do not. They do not.
Maybe it's best
This
recommended.
this costs about $1.50 at Giant Eagle. So if people
Probably
are
has
concerned
10%
about it,
alcohol.
no, that's not what it says.
Brent, are you talking about something that's temporary in nature, like for now or for eternity?
I'm kind of thinking a permanent thing, but I mean, again, I'm kind of open for, open for ideas. If people think, just for
Some respect.
a year, I don't know. I'm open for thoughts and ideas to see if people think it's something that we should pursue going forward.
I mean, while this is a building code item, we do require businesses to have fire extinguishers. And they're not there because they're there for the occasion that an incident happens. People have to react to it. This is a situation that's there every day, and it's facing people that come in and out of businesses and are coming in contact with one another, particularly in stores. And I think it's not that problematic to require it. And maybe the enforcement of it doesn't necessarily come with a fine, but with an action that somebody has to do. Something to talk about, I suppose.
Yeah, and I certainly don't anticipate the police going around to every business to check and see if they have a bottle of sanitizer near the door. But
one thing I saw too, and I forget which town it was, but I want to say maybe Chagrin Falls. I just read that the city was providing those sanitizing stations at, like, attaching them to certain poles. I think I saw, like maybe the telephone poles or whatever, so that they're readily available in certain areas. And it was from the city. I think they put up like 20 stations or something around the town is what I read. I don't know if that relates to this or that could help as well.
I think one of the problems, though, the difference here is that Pinecrest is private property. and-
Pinecrest has them, and they've already put them up along the main drag.
Okay.
This is 65% alcohol. I've never carried a fire extinguisher with me. So there's a little bit of a distinction between what we're talking about here.
65%. That's the fire extinguisher. You're putting out the fires in your hands.
100% is supposed to be, yeah.
What's that?
65% is supposed to be permanent, not permanent. Yeah.
Yeah, 65%. So I don't know if it's supposed to be or not.
All right.
So that's a great buy. Good shopping, Steve.
All right. Thanks, Steve, for diverting. Yeah, Brent, obviously it's a smart business practice for them to be doing it. I don't know, Steve, in terms of going forward with something like this, if it's...
You have the legal authority to pass a regulation like this. I just need to know what the policy is. And you know, I don't know what the circumstance is at Pinecrest. I don't know if the other restaurants on Orange Place have sanitizer available already. They all have bathrooms, obviously.
Maybe we'll have the chiefs, go out and do a investigation if there's sanitation things at the hotels and whatnot. There's so much of that.
I'm sure
Well,
there
I
are
hope,
communities
Fire
that have
chief.
rejected it.
I mean, certainly there's nothing that stops anybody from going and asking somebody if they have considered doing that as a business action. You know,
We could ask Adam. We could ask him what he's doing there.
well, or even up and down Orange Place or elsewhere in the village where there are businesses.
We have such
you know, the problem with passing an ordinance is that you always have an enforcement issue. And is somebody going to be calling in and saying, this place doesn't have it, and then you have to go out to do an investigation, and then you have a question of the penalty? I mean, passing a law has consequences. And even if it's a good idea to be engaging in that business practice, you know, you need to be cognizant that there are some costs to the village for enforcement.
Do we
Well,
have such a thing as a
Go back.
recommendation, like we could establish a recommendation or council strongly recommends? Is there something like that?
Council can always pass a motion stating a sense of council.
Anna, do we send our newsletters to the businesses?
No,
We could put it in there. I don't know. Oh, we could have Mike Roberts suggested. I don't know.
I
Put it
mean,
in
we
the
can have
business.
a mayor's recommendation or request that can go out to the businesses in Orange as well, that, you know, on behalf of the mayor, that requesting that, you know, businesses have sanitizing stations. And
Well, if we find it in the governor's regulations somewhere, we could cite that.
well,
As
no,
a
I mean,
recommended practice or,
How does it
well, I
differ?
mean, I don't think that there's any, I don't think anybody would say that it's detrimental. You know, so, I mean, it could be something where we try that and see who complies before we do some type of, you know, legal requirement, or, I don't know, just kind of thinking out of the box here.
Yeah, I mean, if that would be easier, it certainly doesn't need to be an ordinance. If that's something that we've done in the past and you think it could be at least somewhat effective, I have no problem with that. I just think it makes sense to kind of take some action just to show that we are, you know, concerned with the health and safety of not only our residents, but people that come into, from other communities that come into Orange Village to frequent our businesses.
Mayor, would you be comfortable doing something like that?
I have to think about it a little longer. I'd be very comfortable to advance it as a good idea and a policy, but I got to figure out how we communicate with the businesses.
Right.
Maybe we do a separate letter, but I'd incorporate it with some other things. I mean, they don't need me to tell them to wash their hands, but some way I'll figure out how to do it.
Okay.
So maybe we Brent, if you're okay
Brent, you
with
can
it.
throw me some ideas, but I won't do it for a couple of weeks. We're doing a newsletter. We'll just mail it to the businesses and we'll include it in there.
And then maybe one of the officers, you know, when they're out and about, walking around Pinecrest or elsewhere, can kind of see if it seems like there's stations at a lot of places, and then if not, then we can maybe advance it from there, if that's something that Brent's okay with. And
Yeah.
Chief? Chief Costura, do you want to take a role in this hand sanitizer?
I think the council should go out and see the restaurants and see the places and look and see if they're there, because you got to eat and you've got to get your car washed and all the other things. And if you all get together and pick 3 or 4 places, you'll have it done in a week.
thanks, Chief.
My pleasure.
So I was more thinking that, you know, just not making special trips and using resources, but when they're out and about, because they're always around our wonderful village, that, you know, just keep an extra eye and maybe give a report to our honorable police chief, and maybe he can report that back to Mr. Silver.
Yeah, we could check if they're smoking and a few other of the health department violations that we can turn in. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this.
That'd be great, Chief. If you can make sure they're washing their hands too, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, and we haven't had anything to do lately, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I was at Firebirds and they have hand sanitizing stations all over when you walk into that place.
Yeah, I was there that day. Yep, they do.
But I got a complaint that they weren't social distancing.
At Firebirds?
Somebody reported them to me. No, Oak and Embers.
Oh,
Yeah. Can I just say 2 cents? I think it's been said too, but I think that we have to rely on using legislation as probably the last resort. And I love the idea of making a letter or making a policy statement to the businesses that we want everybody to feel safe in Orange Village at these establishments. And in order to do that, one way that they could enhance the sense of safety and enhance people coming back and feeling like it's a nice place to be would be to offer hand sanitizing stations at the entrance so that they can hit it when they come and go. If I hope that would suffice instead of making a law where there are legal consequences to not doing that. So it would be my first choice to do it as a policy statement, a recommendation from council and the administration.
Okay.
Any other comments on this? Okay. Mr. Silver, do you have any other comments?
No, I don't. Thank you for everyone's feedback. I do appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to Mr. Comment.
Yeah, I want to personally thank you for the support from while I was on medical leave. And I want to, I really appreciate the patience and support from the group. Thank you for the council and also for the mayor. Thank you.
Thanks. We're glad to have you back.
You're welcome.
Moving on to Mr. Bilski.
Welcome back, Mr. Comment. It's nice to see you back. I wanted to just say how great it's been the last week and a half with the trails over on Lander. I can't even tell you how many people we're seeing when we do the loop around Orangewood both ways there, and it's great. I swear they finished those in record time. It only took 3 weeks of working days minus Memorial Day, so that's fantastic. Mr. Zugan, I wanted to find out, so I know Brainerd is next. I saw the signs, the barrels up there. Where on Miles and approximately when will that next section start?
Well, they just started, actually a day early on Brainerd, so we're giving them about 6 weeks. There's a little bit probably more involved over in Brainerd because there's no curb there, so they got to deal with some drainage and different issues there. So let's put, let's say, hopeful mid-July, they'll be moving over to Miles Road. Miles Road, just a reminder, it's going to be a full line running from West Woodcrest all the way down to Brainerd Road. There's elevation issues along the backside of Beacon Hill. There's elevation issues farther down by Marilyn Anderson's insurance business and stuff, as well as dealing with some issues by the villas. So I would expect that run to be the longest. I'll have more detail as we get closer to there, and I'm sure we'll be having a progress meeting and lay out that. They will be provided to have to keep that open and maintain traffic in that area, but with it being wide, they'll be able to barrel that down and should move rather quickly.
But the expectation is, though, that would be done by the end of the summer or the construction season?
That's hopefully the plan, that Miles Road will be all wrapped up come the end of the fall.
Okay, and then
two stretches is Brainerd and Miles.
I'm sorry, I missed your question.
Were those the last 2 stretches, the one they're starting on Brainerd and then Miles Road?
Yes.
And then we can talk about Orangewood.
that was my next question. Walking here through Orangewood, I mean, I swear half the neighborhood's out walking every night and every weekend day. What is the status, or what when people ask me what the status is, what should I tell them?
Okay, I made a recommendation to council that we go ahead with it. And prior to even knowing how much money we have left of the 5 million, you know, being committed to using infrastructure money that we have. And then COVID-19 hit. And this is what I've been telling the residents in Orangewood. That put a halt on any big plans or new commitments we will let the contract finish. We'll see how much money we have left. We'll know what we have to spend of ours versus what is part of the 5 million. We'll come back to council, and if we do what we said we were going to do this year, which is have them in for a town hall, then we would do it in 2021. That's what I've been telling people in Orangewood, and I see them out, and oh my God, the day of the parade,
Right.
hundreds of people.
Good.
So Scott, is that the answer to your?
Yeah, that's fine. That's what I'll tell. Everybody keeps asking me, so I will make
It
sure. I
got
pass
put
it
on the
along.
back burner because of Corona, and it will be picked back
Sure.
up again a year delayed.
Okay. And then if we do open up the playground.
Excuse me, Scott.
Yes.
Unless I have 4 people in council that are telling me now to go ahead. Okay,
We never had any of the costs or anything like that either. That was
we
still,
just had rough estimates. We did.
Right.
I mean, they did do some.
I know we had discussed things offline, some of us, when Corona hit, as far as shutting down playgrounds and making recommendations to the various neighborhoods that have those. Is that something that we'll be passing along to those various associations? Should the governor change policy as far as opening up?
We have. I mean, we did
Okay.
tell Orangewood Homeowners Association Executive Director to close down the playground.
Right. So a lot of people are asking me what's going to take to reopen that. So
When the
that was
governor opens them back up.
okay. And then, so we'll, I assume, reach out to all the various developments like we did to close them down at that point.
Yeah, we'll make sure they know, but I'm not positive that we have authority or jurisdiction over making them do that, but as long as they're compliant, this is what we're following the governor's guidelines.
Okay. Because the sign there says it says by, according to the policies of the city, meaning the village, but that's what the one here says at Orangewood. There are a lot of upset kids with their parents who keep walking by that. It's like a
Sign
mirage.
out of
They can't
there.
use it.
Blame
Well,
somebody else. Get
Yeah.
that sign out of there.
But the tennis courts are open here, so at least that's making people happy. So anyhow, I hope everybody stays safe, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Scooter. Mr. Klein.
You have to bear with me a little bit. I've got a lot on my agenda for this evening. First of all, I want to thank the police and safety services for the work that they do in Orange Village. We've had a myriad of confrontations or potential confrontations and businesses, particularly along the Orange Place corridor. And in every instance, to my knowledge, the safety services have acted professionally, treated people with dignity, and have been appropriate for the situation that is at hand. And I think we owe them all a great deal of thanks for that, their character and the quality of service that they provide and how they provide it. So I just wanted to mention that. I also wanted to say Planning Commission met last night. A number of items on the agenda were related to new houses in the Lakes of Orange. The Pulte representative made note of the fact that the Pulte development in the Lakes of Orange is their #1 development east of the Mississippi and in the Northeast region. It is selling houses at a clip that none of their other developments are seeing. And it's a great tribute, I believe, to our community that people want to be here and are looking to move here and are
It's
building.
those safety forces, Judd.
It must be. It must be all that. But so that having been said, leads me to my next thing that's an announcement. Like Mr. Bilski, I'm going to be moving. But unlike Mr. Bilski, I'm going to be moving in Orange Village. Cheryl and I have acquired a property from Randy Curtis in the Lakes of Orange, and we're going to be building a new house in the Lakes of Orange, hopefully getting started later this summer. I wanted it to bring to attention, put it on public record, because it's important to deal with issues that may come up. As we all know, that Randy Curtis is a constant applicant to the community, and We deal with them at Planning Commission and at council with various things, particularly what's going to be upcoming relative to Pinecrest residential development. That being said, I just want to let everybody know that I am not going to change how I treat and act towards him and his projects when they come before Planning Commission. I will continue to act with fairness and thoughtfulness as we move forward on the project. One of the things that I did in I am just purchasing land from him. He's not building the house. I have my own builder that will build it. So, flash. See this?
Can't see it.
You see
That's it.
House plan. So I wanted that to be on public record. I wanted people to know that, and that we're going to be staying in Orange Village for the foreseeable future. We've been in this house for nearly, 36 years, and I hope that I can have another 36 in our new digs.
Hey, Judd, if you need an architect, I know a few people.
Brandon's already claimed that role.
Okay.
So I also want to welcome Pradeep back. It's good to see you. I'm glad
Thank
you're
you.
doing better and successful. The
Yeah,
last
thank
thing I want to talk about, and you'll have to bear with me a little bit, a little lengthy thing I want to read here. To begin with, as you know, I'm an architect. And as such, we're focused and educated and experienced as creators, designers, and builders. We see all problems and challenges, whether physical, social, economic, environmental, or humanitarian, as design problems. We look for solutions through a design process. The future we all need to be part of is about learning to think like designers, to ask the probing questions that drill down to the fundamental issue we must look at. Therefore, we must all be architects, and we all can be architects, working in a collaborative way to address the issues we are currently experiencing. We can all be architects. We must seek design solutions for a compassionate community to lead the way to the future we want for ourselves and those who are the most vulnerable in our society. The design solution will come through leading something called the Charette process that engages all people and all points of view to get at the underlying questions. Francis Ford Coppola, the great movie producer and director throughout his career, in producing and directing his films, identified what he called his guiding principle, a simple concept that guides every decision that we need to make. Part of that comes through the design of a charrette that I'm suggesting. Can we be that convening community that initiates the outreach to bring us together in civil discourse? I propose we invite our residents, neighboring communities, and their leaders to join us in pursuing a path to our preferred future. Consider how might we design the solution to break the chain of crisis to crisis, from abuse to abuse, from incident to incident. Let's build the community where we respect all and honor the lives of those who have been sacrificed so that we might be stirred to action and produce real and meaningful change. To that point, I reached out to Representative Juanita Brent to help facilitate a program that we could do in Orange space and invite our collegiate communities of the 12th district, along with the adjacent other communities, similar to some of the things that we did in terms of economic development collaboration. We all can be architects. We all can be architects. We can all be architects and participate in a way of changing the trajectory of where we're going. So I told Representative Brent that I would draft something up and send to her what I'm thinking. I will share it with all of you. I believe it's important that we take this time and this opportunity to change the way in which we are acting. So That's all I got, and I'll take my answer off the air.
Thank you. Any other comments, Mr. Klein?
None at this moment, but I
Okay.
reserve the right to cross-examine Steve Byron.
Noted. Ms. Vincent?
Thank you, Mr. Duber. Again, we're at the hour mark, so I hope my internet will hold, and I apologize if it goes away. I'll come back on as quickly as I can. Welcome back, Pradeep. It's nice to see your face. These certainly have been extraordinary times we've been living for these past few weeks, and I'm grateful for this opportunity to share a few thoughts. First of all, as I promised to do so, the update on Orange schools, and I'll keep this short, but these past 2 weeks we saw a lot. We saw the retiree recognition, we saw the presentation of the 5-year forecast, and we saw, of course, the graduation of the class of 2020. All are available online, so I won't go into great detail. I will say the treasurer noted the obvious challenge of presenting a 5-year forecast based on the COVID-19 crisis and the uncertainty of what the next 6 months to years and even beyond will look like. But it is spelled out on the Orange website if anyone's interested. I'd also like to congratulate officially the class of 2020. The virtual graduation is now complete and an in-person diploma photo op will occur next week. I am so beyond proud to live in the Orange Village community, which has been so incredibly supportive of this class of 2020. Anna, I can't even imagine the amount of hours you spent getting all of those names and information up on the digital sign and making it work. And I can tell you that I've heard so many comments of appreciation. So thank you for that. And Mayor Mulcahy and Chief Kostura, thank you for your willingness to assist the seniors with all of those different events that went on in Orange Village the last few weeks. It gave the village and it gave the seniors both a chance to shine. So again, I'm just honored to be a part of this community. I also want to congratulate 2024. I know we've got a representative parent in this group. They are now entering high school. The class of 2027 now entering middle school. And welcome to, get ready, hold your breath, the class of 2033 as they begin their educational experiences officially in kindergarten. And Mr. Duber, I'm not sure what year Scarlett will be, but we welcome her and we'll welcome her when she gets there.
I'd have to do some math.
2038 maybe?
I don't know.
I would just like to briefly mention something that I raised at our last meeting and won't spend a lot of time on right now, but that's the Everyday Heroes recognition. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and I just don't want to lose sight of that, which is so good in our community. We rely on the dedication and generosity of spirit of these community members, from our medical and healthcare teams to our frontline teams, as Judd so beautifully articulated, to our individual community members who are constantly giving of themselves. And although they provide such great service right here in our own community without ever seeking accolades, they're so deserving of our recognition. So anyone who wants to chime in with ideas, I'd be happy to hear them. You can certainly email them. A few ideas that I've tossed out include a day dedicated to our everyday heroes, a spotlight section in our newsletters or on our sign, in our social media, or even as a tribute as part of Salute to Orange or some other day coming up. I'd like to ask if you're interested in creating a sort of subcommittee or just a group of people to talk in the weeks and months ahead to develop a strategy for some kind of recognition in the weeks and months as a great way of saying thank you. So feel free to chime in or send me an email, and I look forward to working with you on that. Finally, but certainly top in priority, and I'm not going to articulate this with the same allusions, the architectural allusions that Mr. Klein articulated it, but I would be remiss if I didn't lend my voice to the outcries of so many after what happened with George Floyd and others, and the racial injustices that those tragedies represent. And to compound all, people of color at a disproportionately high rate from COVID-19. This is without a doubt a heavy and heartbreaking moment in our nation's history. I am so proud again to live in Orange Village, a community of racial diversity, where I know firsthand how hard our leaders and our village employees and our officers and the business representatives and pretty much everybody across the board have been working for years, as Mayor Mulcahy said, to maintain what is simple human decency, that no one should be mistreated at all, ever, much less in the despicable manner that we saw in Minneapolis just this past week simply because of hatred and simply because of the color of one person's skin. It is symbolic of the racism that really is all too pervasive in our larger national society, and in my opinion, has to stop. My kids hear about the looting and the violence and they're scared, but they believe in peacefully standing up to racism, as do I. I don't know what it's like to walk in the shoes of an African-American young man, or being a mom of that young man and fearful that my son might be stopped, much less attacked, violated, or even, God forbid, killed, just because he is a man of color. But those moms and their children are among my friends all across this nation, and their hurt is my hurt. I respect them so tremendously and will work to understand that constant fear. And more importantly, I will work to give them a voice. We need to listen to those that are hurting and grieving and find empathy and compassion by doing even more than just listening. We need to hear. I don't know the right answers on how to stop this nationwide madness, but I know I have to do something. And I also know that the right conversation is any conversation that moves us in the right direction toward a solution. So I second what Mr. Klein suggested, and I think it's a brilliant idea to move forward, working with the administrative team and anybody who's interested to open the dialogue further within our community and reach out to help me learn what I can do better. I love that Orange Village has been working toward this goal for years and years and years, and I love that Orange Village can be this example for other cities to follow. So please let me know, or let Judd know, if any of you would like to be a part of that dialogue. I heard someone say, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but they said, let your privilege incite compassion for those that don't have privilege. And I hope we will please consider this in the future as we move forward. That's all I have. I thank you for listening, and I welcome if anyone has any thoughts.
Anybody have any comments? All right. Any other comments, Ms. Vincent?
No, thank you very much.
Moving on to my comments. Again, want to thank Police Department, Fire Department, Service Department for everything they're doing. Mr. Comet, welcome back. Glad to see your smiling face, and I think that's about all. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. Anna, if you call roll, please.
You're muted, Anna.
Anna, you're muted.
I am, I know. Silver,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Bilski,
Yes.
Comet,
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes, and my internet held up.
I know. Harry,
Yes.
Huber.
Yes. All right.
You
Good
all,
night.
and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.